Hey, Mark Lambert here, the Sweet Swine of Mine Distributing Test Kitchen. We're going to cook a little something different today. We're doing a bone rolled and tied leg of lamb. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our Gunter Wilhelm knife here and cut this dude open. Now our plan with this, just so you know what we're trying to accomplish, this is a big roast and you could roast this thing whole, but at the end of the day, lamb is best done medium rare. So, you know, I'm going to say medium to medium rare, 130, 135 internal temperature. So how do you get this thin part done at the same time the thick part gets done? Well, that's what we're going to show you how to do. You can see this thing's rolled up, it's deboned, and then they put it through this sort of a cone. And this cone is large on this end and small on this end, and it's got a bag on it, and they push this expandable, this cone through, the meat through this expandable cone into this net, and that's what holds it all nice and tight together. And a lot of times you'll see people do hams or anything in this and they'll hang it and cook it, and it works, but I think lamb is best done medium to medium rare, and also with a little bit of char on it, like lamb kebabs even. Those are really well, but we're going to cook this whole on the grill, maybe even done the red box. We haven't decided yet, but what we do know is it requires a little prep to get it cooked the right way. So we're just going to cut it out of its wrap, and since it's deboned, you will see where the bone came out. So since this piece here is a little wet, a little bit of plasma inside it here, we're going to clean this off here to make sure that we're not chasing it around the board too much. We're going to dry it off. As we season it and let it sit, we're going to go fishing here in a little while and let this get happy in the refrigerator, and we'll grill this off later. But it requires a little prep. Now, first thing we'll do is we'll come in here, another little hint, if you're chasing it around the board still, put a paper towel down. It'll help stabilize it, keep it from sliding around on you. So right here we've got some big pieces of fat, and we want fat, but we don't want big pieces of fat. We don't want it thick. That's what I mean by big. The thick pieces, you know, it's just not a good feel in the mouth. When you bite into a big chunk of fat, it's just a bad texture, and it's just too greasy. So we like fat. We're going to leave some of it, but the big thick stuff like you see right there, we're going to take some of that off. Now, we talked about it cooking evenly. We're going to make sure, we got a little bit of silver skin. You see, this is that tough outer membrane, and instead of trying to cut it off, we're going to peel it because it's not entirely across the roast. Got a little piece sticking out right there. And again, I'm just feeling. I'm going to feel for these chunks of fat. I'm going to see, there's some right there I can see. Again, I'm not taking it all off. I'm going to take the big chunks off. On this edge, I'm just going to take the big stuff off. Wherever it's thickest, I want to try to make it even. Just like I'm doing with the meat, I want it in an even thickness all the way across. That fat's good and it's good flavor, but I want it nice and even throughout. So, we're to the point now that we can start butterflying this. And what I mean by butterfly, we've got a thick piece here, and it's thin here, and it's thick again here. So we're going to start from the center, and then starting from the center, we're going to divide its thickness, and we're going to roll it over. And then we've got a pretty even thickness piece of meat right here. Now we've got a little connective piece here that's thinner, but that's okay. So we're going to go here to the center. So it's thick here and it's thin here. So I'm not going to divide this thinner part. I'm going to divide just the thicker part. And I'm not cutting all the way through. As you notice, I'm just butterflying it. And all I've done here, y'all, is I've made this one fairly even piece of meat. Now, when I divided this, it is a leg, so there are glands in deer and lamb and pigs and cows, everything. So as you can see right there, when this was rolled over, there's an internal gland, and it's essentially a lymph node. And when I cut it and I rolled it over, I cut that lymph node in half. That's bad stuff. It doesn't taste good, and it has a really organy, nasty, almost if you've ever eaten kidney or anything like that, it's got a organy, irony, and a mushy taste, if you will. So we're going to take that little gland out. What is it, Buck? All right. Essentially, we're to the point now that we can begin to season it, and then what we'll do is we'll just sort of wrap it up. We'll put it in our pan, cover it, put it in the fridge, and let it get happy. Our seasoning blend today, we're going to use some mushroom and sage infused olive oil from the Robust Olive. Jill, our friend over there in Little Rock, keeps us supplied with this, and then the butter infused olive oil. They use only the best California cold press olive oils, and this one tastes like straight up ghee butter. So we're going to put a little bit of olive oil. This is the butter flavor, and then we're going to come back with a little mushroom and sage. We're going to rub that in. Mushroom and sage that flavor goes really well with lamb. Now, our friends at SMP, Sociedad Mexicano Parrilleros, Alejandro Gutierrez keeps us supplied with his high quality, tightly sealed. This is applewood smoked sea salt, or sal de mar, with dried chili piquin. So we're going to come back, and this is really strong, heavy grind. So we're going to go back with a light coat of that. And we order it by the pound, so it's just in a pepper container, but this is pepperall from Old Hickory. We're going to come back through with a dust of pepperall, and pepperall is it's a 5 pepper spice blend, and it has some fennel and some dill. Those things go really well with lamb. We're going to cover this. Oop, and we're going to flip it over. We're going to pull our anti-skid device off. And we're going to come back with a little more butter, olive oil. And we're going to come back with a little mushroom and sage, Robust olive oil. Lamb's very flavorful. We're just keeping it simple and enhancing the flavors, y'all. Sal de mar. This is if you could smell, if there was smell-o-vision, that smell is just, it's smoked for 17 days in the ground with applewood. It is very intensely flavored. Doesn't take a ton of it, and then we're going to come back with the pepperall. And we're going to grill this off pretty fast. Sort of reverse sear it, if you will. And what I mean by that is we'll heat it up on the grill off the fire, and then we'll throw it right over onto the fire to char it off and finish it. So we pretty well got it right there. There's our pan. We're going to just kind of roll her back up, set it in our pan. We're going to cover that, and let it get happy. So if you've never cooked lamb, I'm sure you may have had lamb chops. Those are a little more common, a little easier. Now you know how to deconstruct your leg of lamb, bone rolled and tied leg of lamb, and you can season it any way you want. But at the end of the day, remember, heat the meat up, reverse sear, so get it up to that good 110 degree mark, and then throw it on the hottest fire you have and get some char on it. You want a little sizzle. You want some bits and pieces that are caramelized on there. If you want to cut it up into kebabs, you can cut it into kebabs, but brown them off really fast on a really hot fire. Make yourself some tzatziki sauce, a little yogurt, and cucumber sauce, things like that, or make you some lamb heroes with some pita bread. Anything like that works. Use your imagination. We're back here on the porch. We got the Rectech Wild Side fired up. We have some real good dry hickory logs burning, and we've got a good clean fire. We've got our grate raised up, and we're going to cook off this boned, rolled, and tied, then butterflied leg of lamb. So we butterflied it, made it all one even thickness of meat, and we seasoned it with some SMP sal de mar with a little chili piquin dry pepper in it, and a little pepperall from Old Hickory. So we went out and did a little fishing, and it's a little bit early for the fishing, but it's right on time for some leg of lamb. So we got our tongs here. We're going to take this leg of lamb, and we're going to start it. right across our fire. And the idea here is to heat it up and get this piece of meat hot. And we could cook it up here probably the whole time. But the idea is to heat it up and then to sear it off. So we want this meat 100, 110 degrees internal. And we're just going to kind of do it by feel. We're not doing this for competition. We're just going to eat this. But we're going to heat these up, and I can kind of tell. I can keep my hand here for a few seconds. I mean, I can keep it here for a good 5 seconds before it's too hot. Looking at the bottom side, might want to take it up another couple of notches. We're going to let it sit here for about, we're going to call it 10 minutes aside. Between 5 and 10 minutes aside. We're going to watch it, and then we're going to drop it right down over that hickory fire, sear it off. It's going to be good eats. So remember, reverse sear for best on leg of lamb. You want to make sure that it's medium rare. It'll get tough, it'll get gamey if you overcook it, and it'll get dry. It's not good eats. So we started off by butterflying this leg of lamb. We put on a layer of Old Hickory pepperol. We put a layer of Sal de Mar from SMP, and we threw it right on the Rectech Wild side. And we did, you know, I wanted to say it was a reverse sear, but actually we kept the right level. We had a really, really good hickory fire, some really dry hickory from B&B charcoal. We had, you know, I'm going to say a good 14 to 16 inches above that roaring hickory fire. That's the cool thing about that wild side, is you can adjust that height. You can see what your sear is doing, and you can see kind of how it feels as it's coming up to temperature. That's a real good medium rare, and you can adjust on the fly without burning yourself to death. So we've got this really nice piece of lamb here going, and I want to show you. I'm going to cut off this little piece. You can see those are kind of coming on to medium rare there, and I'm going to start off by slicing one of these right here. Look at that juice coming out of that. Perfect sear, perfect medium rare. Look at that. We're going to slice a little bit more of this, and then when we finished it, after we got a good sear on one side, we came back in with our good friend Alejandro Gutierrez. He makes this garlic salsa. It's la de ajo. Ajo is garlic, for you guys that don't know. But we came back on the top, as you can see, this really nice glaze that it put on there with the chili peppers and the garlic, a little bit of olive oil in there, and this put the final coup de grace on this lamb. Look at that. That is just absolutely gorgeous. Let's see what we got here. I got a little bit of that garlic salsa left on there. It's on. That is so good. So you guys got it. Leg of lamb on the Rectech Wild side. Easy peasy. Heat it up and sear it, or if you've got a Santa Maria grill, get that right distance away. Get your hand over it, and you can tell. You can hold it there about 5-6 seconds, about the right spot. It's going to heat up, caramelize all at the same time. Real easy to do. You can do the same thing with rack of lamb. Doesn't really matter. A little something different for you guys that are stuck inside during the quarantine. God bless y'all. Stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.